Afternoon, everyone. This is Aditi Kushwaha, faculty of BMLT department. A very warm welcome to Principal Ma'am, our honorable speaker, Dr. Santosh Kumar, MD Pathology RIMS, Ranchi, coordinator of BMLT, all the teachers and dear students. In this tough time, also KP Women's College is excelling in every aspects, and we are organizing several webinars and lectures. Today's event is one of them. We all are here for the webinar on kidney diseases and kidney function tests organized by the Department of BMLT. So I would like to request Dr. Santosh Kumar to speak on kidney diseases. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Ma'am. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Is it screen visible or not?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, now. Hello, student. Myself, Dr. Santosh. Hello.
Yes, sir. Please continue.
Okay. Yeah, hello, student. Myself, Dr. Santosh. I am MD Pathology from RIMS, and I am pursuing senior residency or tutorship in Hazaribagh Medical College Hospital. Now, today's topic is kidney diseases and kidney function test. So, shall we start?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Start.
Okay. Now, first of all, in this topic, we will cover the anatomy, physiology, and the disease of kidney. And next webinar, we will cover the kidney function test. So, first of all, the structure of kidney. On your screen, you see on the right side, there is a gross structure and there is a histological structure. In gross structure, you will see the right and left kidney. In the parts of kidneys are in grossly, there is cortex, medulla, pelvis. In histologically, there is nephrons. In nephrons, nephron is the structural unit of kidney. You already know. In nephrons, we have a glomerulus. Here you see the structure of glomerulus histologically. I am enhancing the, I am zooming it. So, nephron is the structural and functional unit of kidney. Okay. Other structure histologically important are endothelium, glomerular basement membrane, mesengium. Mesengium is also called matrix cells, and podocytes. Podocytes are also called epithelium. And other part is tubules. In tubules, there is PCT. PCT is proximal convoluted tubules. DCT, distal convoluted tubules, and CT. CT is collecting tubules, and interstitium. Now, function of the kidney. So, many of you already know the function of kidney. First and most important is the excretion of metabolic waste products. Metabolic waste products are mainly nitrogen waste products and sulfur containing waste products, and also drugs and toxins. Mainly excretions of waste products and drugs and toxin materials also. Second function of kidney is the balancing of electrolyte and water. Water and electrolyte balance is the very important function. Third is the acid-base balance. Acid-base or pH balance. pH balance is also an important function. Next is the retention of proteins, amino acid, and glucose. So this is very important because in this the PCT, DCT, and loop of Henle's function are mainly concerned. So retention of proteins, amino acids, and glucose. If this function is lost, if the retention of glucose is lost, function of retention of glucose is lost, then patient has occurred glucoseuria, and mostly in diabetes, in which the glucose level of blood glucose level is already high. In nephrotic syndrome, there is proteinuria, and others in amino acid urea is also occurs in many diseases. We will discuss later on. Fourth function is the maintenance of BP. BP means blood pressure. Okay, blood pressure through secretion of renin-angiotensin system. Okay, renin-angiotensin is an enzyme, and it causes constriction of the blood vessels. Okay, so by constriction of blood vessels of kidney, it maintains the blood pressures. And one other function of kidney is also control of erythropoiesis. What is erythropoiesis? Erythropoiesis is the formation of RBC. Okay, formation of RBCs through secretion of erythropoietin. So this is also an important one. One function is also there is production of vitamin D. Okay, here this is not written, but production of vitamin D is also important. So these are the functions of kidney. Now, formation of urine. How the urine is formed? By ultrafiltration. And most important structure in which is helping in ultrafiltration is glomerulus. So glomerulus ultrafiltration of substance. So the urine is formed by concentrating abilities of nephrons. Okay, this is the electron microscopic picture. Is this hello? Yeah, this picture shows the electron microscopic picture of nephron. Here you see the podocytes, and this is the food process of podocytes. And between two food process, there is a slit. In between these two food process, there is slit, and if this slit is wide and open, then normally the fluid is filtrate. Normally, fluid is filtrate, which size is less than 4 angstrom. Okay, angstrom is 10 into 10 to the power minus 10. But if this slit is widened, then larger molecules like proteins can be filtrated. So in proteinuria, like in nephrotic syndrome, this slit is widened. And other disease also, nephritic syndrome and other disease also. Here you see the glomerular basement membrane is there, and there is an endothelium. So this is the filtration barrier. This whole structure, podocytes, slit, glomerular basement membrane, and endothelium, this is the filtration barrier. So this is the normal anatomy. Now, different diseases of kidney. So first we start the congenital diseases. We will go superficially because kidney is a very vast organ, and 45 minutes is not sufficient for completion of this topic. So disease of kidney. First, the congenital disease. In congenital disease, cystic disease of kidney. Cystic disease, there are two: adult polycystic kidney disease and childhood polycystic kidney disease. And adult polycystic kidney disease are autosomal dominant, and childhood or pediatric polycystic kidney disease are autosomal recessive. Second disease of kidney is glomerular disease, like glomerulonephritis and glomerulopathies. And these glomerular diseases are immunological mediated. Mainly immunological mediated means T cell, IgG, IgA. These antibodies are responsible for this glomerular or glomerulopathies, glomerulonephritis and glomerulopathies. Third is the tubulointerstitial disease. Interstitial nephritis, acute tubular necrosis, renal stones, and these are infections and toxins. These are the disease caused by involvement of tubulointerstitial part. Okay. Now, clinical manifestations. Clinical manifestations of kidney disease. First is the asymptomatic hematuria and proteinuria. Means there is no other symptoms but hematuria. Hematuria means blood in urine. Okay, and proteinuria means protein in urine. Normally there is no normally blood present in the urine and no protein present in the urine, but if any disease occurs, then maybe blood or protein may be present in the urine. We will discuss what type of disease causes hematuria or proteinuria. Second is acute nephritic syndrome. Acute nephritic syndrome, the clinical manifestation of acute nephritic syndrome is mild proteinuria, maybe hematuria also, hypertensions. These three are most important. Fourth is edema, mild edema, and azotemia. Okay. The third is the nephrotic syndrome. Nephritic and nephrotic. These are two different things. In nephrotic syndrome, there is heavy proteinuria. You will see the in nephritic syndrome there is also proteinuria, but I already said that the proteinuria is mild. But in nephrotic syndrome, proteinuria is massive or heavy proteinuria. If proteinuria is heavy, then it causes hypoalbuminuria, because albumin is a protein, and if protein losses in the urine, then in blood there is a low level of albumin is present. So hypoalbuminemia is the result of heavy proteinuria. Third is the hyperlipidemia. This is the manifestation of nephrotic syndrome, and if hyperlipidemia occurs, so the lipiduria is a manifestation of hyperlipidemia. So everything is interlinked. Okay. And other manifestations are renal tubular defects, urinary tract infections, nephrolithiasis means stone, kidney stones, urinary tract obstructions, and acute renal failure. Okay, these are the manifestations of kidney diseases. Now, chronic renal failure and chronic renal failure. One thing is missed here: chronic renal failure. Now, there are 5 stages of chronic renal failure. First is the diminished renal reserve. This is the first step. In diminished renal reserve, you will see the GFR, glomerular filtration rate, is up to 50%. But there is no other symptoms. Means there is no azotemia, there is no any symptoms, and possibility of azotemia with additional renal insufficiency. Means if other stress and if ongoing stress is present, then azotemia may be occur. Second stage is azotemia. First stage is the diminished renal reserve. Second stage is azotemia. In azotemia, there is biochemical abnormality. Biochemical abnormality. Second is the elevation of blood urea nitrogen and serum creatinine, and it is also not associated with symptoms. And its causes are pre-renal, renal, and post-renal. These are the causes of azotemia. Okay. In azotemia, there is an abnormality of biochemical materials. Third is the renal insufficiency. In renal insufficiency, there is azotemia plus anemia or hypertension is present. And in renal insufficiency, GFR is 20 to 50%. In first stage, you see the GFR is 50%, and there is no symptoms. But in renal insufficiency, GFR is 20 to 50%. And azotemia and symptoms means anemia or hypertension. These are the symptoms. These may be present. And fourth stage is the uremia or renal failure. In uremia or renal failure, there is azotemia plus constellation of clinical sign and symptoms. Means most of the clinical sign and symptoms appears. If it appears, then we will call it uremia stage. Uremia stage of chronic renal failure. And there is also failure of renal excretory function plus metabolic and endocrinal alteration also. Some neurological GI and CVS complications may be occur. GI is gastrointestinal tract and CVS is cardiovascular system. Okay. And in fourth stage, GFR is less than 20%. Okay. GFR is less than 20%. And in fifth stage, end-stage renal disease. In end-stage renal disease, GFR is less than 15%, and kidney is shrunken, and most of the function of kidney is not most of the function is not working properly, and we will do kidney transplant after end-stage renal disease. So these are the 5 stages of chronic renal failure. Now, manifestation of chronic renal failure and their pathogenesis. How chronic renal failure occur? So, first is the deranged volume regulation, that is sodium and water retention. This causes reduced GFR, activated renin-angiotensin system. Like if a volume is less or more, then according to this, renin-angiotensin system is working. Okay, and this causes dehydration or edema. Second is the deranged acid-base balance. If acid-base balance is also deranged, then this causes chronic renal failure. If acid-base balance is deranged, then metabolic acidosis or metabolic alkalosis may be occur, and this metabolic acidosis and alkalosis also result in electrolyte balance. Third is here already we will discuss electrolyte balance, but third is also electrolyte balance is the cause of chronic renal failure. Electrolyte balance means there is a imbalance of sodium, potassium, or calcium, magnesium, or chloride also. So these are the manifestation of CRF and chronic renal failure and pathogenesis. Now in CRF, what are the clinical manifestations occur or symptoms? That is hypertension. How hypertension occurs in CRF? So hypertension occurs by multiple factors. Mainly hypertension occurs by tubular functions, glomerular functions, or vascular dearrangements. Like if causes of hypertension is already present, like obesities or any hyperlipidemia or any other causes, then hypertension are more aggravating in CRF. Second is the CVS and respiratory. How CRF involve the CVS and respiratory system. So in CRF, the chances of CCF means chronic cardiac congestive cardiac failure occur, and hypertension also occur. So hypertension also involve the severe cardiovascular systems. Pericarditis means inflammation of pericardium. Pulmonary edema may be occurs, and uremic pleuritis. Pleuritis means infection of pleura. Third involvement of GI. GI causes uremic esophagitis, gastritis, or colitis. Student, you see if any itis suffix is there, that means the infection or inflammation of that particular organ. Like esophagitis means inflammation or infection of esophagus, or infection of gastric epithelium or stomach. So other manifestation like neurological manifestation, CRF may cause encephalopathy, peripheral neuropathy may be occur. If muscle is involved, then it causes myopathy. If skin is involved, then it causes dermatitis, pruritus, or sallow color. And anemia or bleeding diastasis may also occur by CRF. Now ARF, acute renal failure. What is the definition of acute renal failure? Because definition is important. In definition of acute renal failure is, that is first, acute onset, rapid, precipitous, and significant reduction in GFR, resulting in the accumulation of nitrogenous waste. Means patient is already in shock condition, and maybe the urine output is less than normal. Like if a normal person urinate 1 to 1.5 liter or 2 liter approx, then in acute renal failure, the volume of urine is less than 500 ml or 100 ml. Okay, and acute renal failure may be reversible because it is acute, not chronic. So may be reversible. Etiology. What is the causes of acute renal failure? So first is the acute tubular necrosis. Acute tubular necrosis means necrosis or necrosis of tubules. That is by acute means. And second is the vascular diseases like PAN, malignant hypertension. PAN is the polyarteritis nodosa. Polyarteritis nodosa is a connective tissue disease. We will discuss later on. Malignant hypertension. Malignant hypertension is a type of hypertension in which the BP is more than 200 or 220 per 200 or 220 systolic by blood pressure and 100 to 120 diastolic blood pressure. Third is causes is the HUS. HUS is hemolytic uremic syndrome, bilateral renal artery stenosis, thrombosis, and embolizations. And glomerular cause of acute renal failure is RPGN. RPGN is rapidly progressive glomerulonephritis. We will discuss later on glomerular disease. Pathogenesis of ARF, reduction in GFR due to compromised renal perfusion like pre-renal failure. If there is a pre-renal cause, means before the kidney, causes before the kidney, like the blood which is supplying the kidney is less, so compromise renal perfusion. Second is the release of renal afferent vasoconstrictors. Afferent vasoconstrictors. So this also causes renal less renal perfusion. Third is the increase in tubular pressure with decrease in filtration driving force. That is post-renal. Means the efferent arterioles, blood vessels are more constrict, so the tubular pressure are raised, so the filtration not occur properly. And fourth is the recent onset azotemia and anuria. Anuria means less than 100 ml per day. Oliguria means 100 to 400 ml per day. Hematuria, proteinuria, and pyuria. These are the manifestations of ARF. Now, investigation, how you investigate a kidney disease. First and most important is urine analysis. Second is renal function test. Third is imaging studies like IVP, ultrasonography. Fourth is the renal biopsy or a standard method, or other are special stain like PAS stains, immunofluorescence stains. These are also the important method of investigating a kidney disease. Now, most important kidney disease is the glomerulus disease. Involvement of glomerulus causes glomerulonephritis and glomerulopathy. Okay, this is the commonest renal disease. I already told you this is the commonest renal disease. Pathogenesis. How glomerular disease occurs? So pathogenesis is most important is immunological. I already told you the immunological is like IgA, IgG, or T cell based, B cell based. These are the method for these are the cells which causes damage, which damage the glomerulus. And presentation ranges from asymptomatic proteinuria, hematuria, acute nephritic syndrome, nephrotic syndrome, or CRF. Maybe morphological changes like gross morphological changes and histological changes also occur. So classification of glomerulonephritis. So primary glomerulonephritis, secondary glomerulonephritis, nephritic syndrome, nephrotic syndrome, and acute and chronic glomerulonephritis. So first is the primary glomerulonephritis. This is the most common glomerulonephritis, and causes by post-streptococcal infection. Here streptococcus is a gram positive coccus bacteria, maybe non-post streptococcal also, maybe staph, pneumococci, hepatitis B virus, hepatitis C virus, HIV, and malaria. These also are causes primary glomerulonephritis. Second is the RPGN, rapid progressive glomerulonephritis. Third is membranous glomerulonephritis. Membranous glomerulonephritis. So fourth is the glomerulonephritis caused by mainly beta hemolytic streptococci, and strains are type 1, 4, and 12. So pathogenesis, that is autoimmune, means circulating and circulating or in situ immune complex from planted antigens, means like these antigens are, if these antigens if inside the body, if it goes inside the body, so against this antibodies is formed, and these antigen antibodies are they mix up to form antigen antibody complexes, that is immune complexes. That immune complex is deposited around the glomerulus and causes glomerulonephritis. So important, two things are important: microscopy. So how will this present? This glomerulonephritis, this glomerulonephritis will present by hypercellular glomeruli. Means here you see the cellularities of glomerulus is more. The normal picture of, here you see the normal picture of glomerulus in first diagram. Here you see the normal picture of glomerulus. Okay, and you see the hypercellular glomerulus. So the cellularity of glomerulus is more. Second, endothelial or mesangial cell proliferation, means cellularity, how cellularity increase. So by proliferation of endothelial and mesangial cells, and there is infiltration by PMN. PMN is leukocyte neutrophils, that is neutrophils, morphological neutrophils. Here you see the neutrophils is infiltrated around the glomerulus and inside the glomerulus also. So this is called acute. Understood? Acute. Acute means the infection is acute. So the deposition of neutrophils is there. In immunofluorescence microscopy, there you see the granular deposits of IgG or IgC or complement in glomerular basement membrane, GBM, or mesangium, means granular deposits. And in electron microscopy, there is dense subepithelial humps. Okay, these three things are important: microscopy, immunofluorescence, or and electron microscopy. Other are the crescentic glomerulonephritis, that is also called RPGN. In RPGN, there is a crescent form. That crescent deposited around the glomerulus and causes glomerulonephritis. Okay. Now we will discuss some other important topic in kidney.
फोन आ रहा है का?
Hello. Sir, disconnect. You can share. Hello. Hello, sir. सर डिस्कनेक्ट हो गए हैं.
Hello, Niti ma'am.
Hello. Hello. Sorry for the interruption. Hello.
It's okay, sir.
Yeah. Am I audible, ma'am?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah. There is some internet problem there. Okay. Now we will continue by renal function test. First is the urine analysis. Second is blood urea nitrogen creatinine and clearance test and tubular function test. And what is the role of biochemical testing? Why we will do biochemical testing? So first and most important is the effective management of renal disease. If any renal disease occurs in patient, so how will we manage that patient? For that we will do biochemical testing, and that depends upon establishing a definitive diagnosis. And how definitive diagnosis established? Well, most important is the detailed clinical history and diagnostic imaging, biopsy, and other methods. And second is the role of biochemistry. Role of biochemistry is also important in diagnosis and treatment of renal diseases. So now first is the urine analysis or urine, simple we call examination of urine. It is initial and fast and cost effective method, means the very low cost method, and first of any physician or any surgeon, they first investigate, they first prescribe the routine urine test. In routine urine test, we will take fresh sample, that is the valid sample. Morning's sample is taken. That is why, because first sample is more concentrated. Appearance. Normal appearance of urine is pale to dark yellow. If urine appearance is pink to black, then that indicates hematuria or hemoglobin or myoglobin. Turbidity, normal, it is clear, and if turbidity appears, then it is due to infection or nephrotic syndrome or chylomicronemia. Okay. Order. Normally, order, if order is fruity, then it is due to ketonuria. Okay, ketones. Now, physical urine analysis, specific gravity. Normal specific gravity of plasma is 1.01 to 1.012. Okay, and urine specific gravity is 1.003 to 1.035. Okay, and what is the definition of a specific gravity? It is the ratio of weight of a volume of urine to the weight of same volume of distilled water, and it depends upon number and size of the particles. It also evaluates concentrating and diluting ability of the kidney, and it measured in urinometer, refractometer, or by dipstick method. Normally, in these days, many labs use a dipstick method to measure the specific gravity. Now, osmolality. Osmolality is the measure of number of dissolved particles that is expressed in as milliosmol or osmol per kg water H2O. Okay, and the urine osmolality varies with the state of hydrostatic pressure, and that is normal urine osmolality is 500 to 800 milliosmol per kg water. Okay, during normal health, specific gravity and osmolality correlates well. Okay, but during diseases, correlation is lost as a specific gravity is cultivated by high molecular weight of proteins and glucose. This osmolality is measured by osmometry, that is freezing point instrument or vapor pressure osmometer. Now, clinical utility of osmolality. Normal ratio of urine upon serum osmol is 1 to 3. US urine or serum ratio in deficiency or renal blood flow, that is low GFR, more than 1.2. These are not more, so important. Now pH. Normally the normal pH of urine is acidic, that is 4 to 4.5 to 8, except after meal. In dipstick method, that contain methyl red and bromothymol blue, that turns from yellow to blue if pH increases. Okay, also that is pH measured by pH meter. Now proteinuria. Nowadays, all these is physical things are measured by dipstick method. Proteinuria. Here you see the dipstick of protein and sugar also. Okay, and urine sample is there. In proteinuria, we will do already precipitation methods. In precipitation method, there is sulfosilicic acid method. In this method, 3 ml of urine is added with equal amount of 20% sulfosilicic acid, and that is allowed to stand for 10 minutes and observe for degree of precipitation. Okay, if there is no precipitation, then there is no turbidity, means protein is 0.005, less than 0.005 per gram per dl. If there is traces precipitation, then there is maybe the quantity of protein is 0.02 gram per dl. If 1 plus, then quantity of protein increases, 1 plus, 2 plus, 3 plus and 4 plus, then 0.05 to more than 1 gram per dl also. Okay, turbidity measured by photometry and nephelometry. Now these are the quantitative method. These are not so important. Now protein creatinine ratio, this is important, like PC ratio or protein creatinine ratio of single voided urine sample for quantitating proteinuria. Okay, and recent studies have shown that the protein to creatinine ratio in a random sample is roughly equal to 24-hour urine protein excretion in grams per day. So protein to creatinine ratio is important for proteinuria in these days. Proteinuria, maybe qualitative analysis and quantitative analysis. Qualitative analysis for type of proteinuria, like electrophoresis on cellulose acetate or agarose gel. How proteinuria may be measured. Second is Benz-Jones, maybe proteinuria due to Benz-Jones protein, measured by heat and sulfosilicic test. Third is urinary B2 microglobulin method, and selective proteinuria. Selective proteinuria measured by ratio of clearance of immunoglobulins, that is IgG. IgG is also a protein to clearance of transferrin, and if ratio is lower than 0.1, that is proteinuria is selective. So these are the methods by which we diagnose the proteinuria. Now glycosuria. Glycosuria means presence of glucose in urine. Normally 2 to 20 milligram per dl glucose in urine. Pathological causes of glycosuria are increased blood glucose. If there is blood glucose level is increased, like in diabetes mellitus patient, diabetes or patient, there is blood glucose level is more than 200, 300, 400 or so on. If it depends upon the patient, and if there is low renal threshold or other tubular disorder. Normally the threshold of renal system is 180, around 170 180 milligram per dl. But if the level of blood glucose is more than 170 or 180 gram per dl, then the blood glucose may present in the urine. Okay, so detection, how will we detect the glucose in urine or glycosidia? By chemical method. Chemical method is the copper reduction test or glucose oxidase method. Okay, so sugar is the reducing agent. So sugars or any sugars or glucose reduces copper sulfate to cuprous oxide on heating, that detects other sugars beside glucose. So this is the Benedict test. Okay, copper reduction test is the Benedict test. Okay, that is chemical method. And second is the glucose oxidase method, that is specific for glucose, and that is sensitive to concentration of 50 to 100 milligram per deciliter also. Okay, so and Benedict test also detects other sugars other than glucose. Other reducing sugar also detected by Benedict test, and besides the sugar, vitamin C and other chemicals also detect by Benedict test. So Benedict test is not so specific for the glucose. Here you see the Benedict test. In Benedict test, 5 ml Benedict qualitative reagent is taken and plus add 0.5 ml or 8 drops of urine and heat under the burner. If there is no glucose or negative, there is the color of reagent is same, that is blue color. And if there is present of glucose or any reducing sugar, so the color may be changed. Okay, if traces, then color is slight bluish, and if present of glucose is there in the urine, so green, yellow, pink or red. These are the sequence, and 1+, 2+, 3+, and 4+. That indicates the presence of glucose in the urine. Okay, here you see the semi-quantitative interpretation of Benedict test. Okay, second is the ketone bodies. Ketone bodies. Normally there is no ketone bodies present in the urine. If ketone bodies are present, that means patient occurs ketoacidosis or ketosis. Okay, that also occurs in diabetes mellitus or in starving condition also. So ketone bodies are intermediate production of fat metabolism, that is acetone, acetoacetate or acetoacetic acid or beta hydroxybutyric acid. That three things are the ketone bodies. Okay, and the test are the most important is Rothraj test. Rothraj test is specific for ketone bodies, and one is the heart test also, but that is not most important, but Rothraj test is important. Fourth is the hemoglobin urea. In ketone bodies, you will see a purple ring. A purple ring occurs around the two liquid. First liquid is liquor ammonia, and second is sodium ammonium sulfate and nitroproside. How will we do the ketone body test? First, we will take 5 ml of urine in a tube, then saturate it, hypersaturated it with sodium nitroprusside. Okay, sodium amino sulfate or sodium nitroprusside. Hypersaturate it. Then add liquor ammonia by side of the test tube. Okay, and if there is ketone body present in the urine, then there is purple color made between two liquid, liquor ammonia and urine, that is mixed with sodium amino sulfate and nitroproside. So this is the ketone body test. Now hemoglobin urea. Hemoglobin urea means presence of hemoglobin in urine, that is detected by dipstick test. And the differential diagnosis, how we will differential diagnosis by myoglobin, because in hemoglobin urea and myoglobin urea, the color of the urine is same. Okay, brownish to reddish. But in hemoglobinuria, how will we differentiate? So first we detected by deep state test peroxidase capacity of hemoglobin catalyzes reaction between hydrogen peroxide and orthotoluidine. And in this test, add ammonium sulfate to urine, and if hemoglobin precipitate and leave clear supernatant, but while myoglobin stays in solution and gives pigmented supernatant. So these are the methods by we will differentiate. We will differentiate by electrophoresis and immunodiffusion method also. And how will we differentiate by hematuria? तो हेमेटूरिया से डिफरेंशिएट करने के लिए हम लोग को करना होगा माइक्रोस्कोपी, मींस वी विल डू microscopic urine examination by which if there is hematuria means there is RBC in urine, but in hemoglobinuria there is no RBC but hemoglobin in urine. So by microscopy method we will differentiate it by in these two. Okay, now urine sediments in microscopy, urine sediments here you see. Okay, here in first picture there is RBC. Okay, this is the RBC. Okay, there is no granularity in round to oval cell, and there is no granularity present. This is RBC, may be present in urine in hemoglobinuria. Sorry, hematuria. Second, this is in second picture you see the there is RBC, but this RBC is dysmorphic. Okay, dysmorphic. And third, there is a cast, means there is group of RBCs present in a straight or parallel line. So this is called cast. Okay, that is red blood cell cast. In this picture, different types of cast is there. Cast is, what is cast? So cast is the parallel structure that is found by different things, like if a WBC is arranged in parallel, then this is called WBC cast or leukocyte cast. If RBC is present, the RBC cast is, if there is ground glass appearance in urine microscopy, then this is hyaline cast. And there is broad granular cast also present in chronic renal failure or chronic kidney diseases. Okay. Now serum levels of metabolic end products. Creatinine. Creatinine is most widely used marker of glomerular filtration rate, GFR. GFR is glomerular filtration rate. Is the most widely used marker. 1 to 2% per day of muscle creatinine converted to creatinine at constant rate. Amount produces of creatinine relates to muscle mass, and that is fully filtered at glomerulus and some tubular secretions also. So measurement of creatinine. How we will measure creatinine? Creatinine is measured by Jaffe's reaction. This is important. You should know Jaffe's reaction. So in Jaffe's reaction, principle of Jaffe's reaction is creatinine reacts with alkaline picrate. Okay, creatinine plus alkaline picrate, that causes orange red color complex. Okay, and other chromosomes in plasma also react and give similar color, but this is not so in urine. Thus creatinine plasma concentration is overestimated and creatinine clear is underestimated. Enzymatic method by which also creatinine is measured. So degradation of creatinine by creatinase. Creatinase is an enzyme that degrades creatinine, and ammonium ions interact with bromophenol blue, and reaction measured by a spectrophotometer. Normal serum creatinine level is 0.6 to 1.2 milligram per dl, and normal urine creatinine level is 1 to 2 gram per day. Okay. Now drawbacks. What is the drawbacks of creatinine clearance test? The rate of production is fairly constant. It has substantial individual variation depending on muscle mass. If a person has lean or thin, so the creatinine level of that person is less. And if patient has muscle mass, heavy muscle mass, then creatinine level is more. And meat ingestion or protein ingestion like substantially influence the level of creatinine. Chromosomes, other chromosomes interfere with the measurement and partially secreted by ideal. Any ideal substance that is not secreted or nor reabsorbed. That is the most important substance used for clearance test. But creatinine is partially secreted by PCT. So that maybe in advanced that may be increase in advanced renal failure. So this is not the ideal test for renal clearance. So ideal is the inulin. Inulin is a material that is not secreted nor reabsorbed. Okay. Other test is the blood urea nitrogen or BUN, a non-toxic substance made by liver. This blood urea is the non-toxic substance that is made by liver as a means of disposing ammonia. Ammonia is a toxic substance, but urea is non-toxic substance. Okay, from protein metabolism. Urea has molecular weight 60, of which 28 comes from 2 nitrogen atoms. Molecular formula of urea is N double bond and double bond C double bond N. I think the real concentration of urea is BUN into 60 upon 28. That is 60 is the molecular weight, and 28 is that comes from 2 nitrogen, or 1 into 2 into 1 multiplied by 2.14. 1 is equal to blood urea upon 2.14. That is the various things of 1 and blood urea. Urea is filtered by the glomerulus. If the glomerular filtration is flowing slowly through the proximal tubule, urea tend to be passively reabsorbed and returned to the bloodstream. Blood urea levels are quite sensitive indicators of renal diseases, becoming elevated when renal function drops. Okay, so in renal function test, mostly physicians do 2 things: blood urea and serum creatinine. Okay, and blood is collected in chemistry bulb, potassium oxalate as anticoagulant in blood urea nitrogen estimation method. How will we estimate? 2 methods: direct method and indirect method. Indirect method, diacetyl monoenzyme, diacetyl plus urea, that causes colored chromosome diazine. Okay, and in indirect method, action of enzyme urease on urea to produces ammonia and carbonic acid, and that liberated ammonia is then measured by calorimetric titration method. Normal blood urea nitrogen is 6 to 20 milligram per dl, and urine blood urea nitrogen is 6 to 17 gram per day. Increased one in condition like azotemia. In azotemia, maybe increased one due to increased protein catabolism, because urea is the substrate of protein catabolism, and impaired kidney function also. And decreased one is due to lack of protein substance, severe liver diseases, and overhydration also. Now GFR and clearance test. GFR is glomerular filtration rate and clearance test. Normal value of GFR is around 120 to 130, and average is 125 ml per minute. Okay. And GFR is essential to renal function. Measurement is based on concept of clearance. Okay. Measurement of serum level of metabolic waste may not represent true renal function, as level of these exceeds reference value when 60 to 70% of renal function is lost. Okay, so the need of clearance test is important for GFR. Determination of clearance. Clearance is U multiplied by V upon P. Means U is the urinary concentration of substance, V is the rate of urine formation, and P is the plasma concentration of substance. So clearance, the formula of clearance is U multiplied by V divided by P. Okay, or unit of clearance is volume per unit time, that is ml per minute or liter per hour. If clearance equal to GFR, then substance properties. Means if a substance is taken orally and the GFR is same as the clearance, so that occurs when that substance is freely filtered by glomerulus, no any
Excuse me,
reabsorption
sir.
and no any hello
Excuse me, sir.
no
Sorry to
any
disturb.
reabsorption and no any
Hello.
secretion occurs. So
Excuse me, sir.
yeah,
Sir, we have to rejoin again due to running out of time. So, sir, if you want, shall we take the tea break for 10 minutes, or we can continue after rejoining?
okay, we will rejoin after 5 minutes.
Okay, okay.
Just 5 to 10 slides are there.
तो 5 मिनट्स के बाद हम लोग फिर से ज्वाइन करेंगे सर.
Yeah, yeah.
After 10 minutes, after 10 minutes.
ठीक है. तो अभी हम लोग 5 मिनट्स का टी ब्रेक लेते हैं और वापस से सब लोग नेक्स्ट सेशन के लिए ज्वाइन करेंगे.
ठीक है, ओके.
ओके.
The GFR. So there are some agents. First is the urea, second is the creatinine, third is the inulin, and fourth that is radioisotope of technetium DTPA, 99M technetium DTPA. Okay. So first is the urea. Urea is that is not protein bond. These all four substances is not protein bond. That is important for determine GFR, because if protein is the substance is protein bond, then the substance cannot filtrate by glomerulus. Okay. Second is freely filtered. Yes, all substances are freely filtered. Third is no secretion of absorption, means there is no addition or subtraction of substance in tubules. So there is only two substances that have no secretions or absorption. So first is the inulin and second is technetium DTPA, 99M technetium DTPA. And the urea is flow related reabsorption. Urea may be reabsorbed, and creatinine we have already discussed. Creatinine may be some secreted in tubules. So best or ideal substance for determining GFR is inulin and technetium DTPA. Okay. And constant endogenous production rate. Yes, creatinine is also endogenous production of creatinine is all occur. So, and easily acid. So urea and creatinine is easily acid. But here you see the inulin and DTPA are ideal substance for determining GFR, but these are not easily acid. Okay, the acid method of inulin and DTPA is very tough and very cost effective. Okay. Very not cost effective. Okay, but urea and creatinine are easily acid. Urea and creatinine tests are easily done in laboratory, but inulin and DTPA can't be acid easily. Now inulin clearance, it is a gold standard method for GFR. What is inulin? Inulin is a plant polysaccharide. It is a complex inulin clearance is a complex procedure. How we will do inulin clearance? So the bolus dose of inulin followed by constant infusion. Okay. First we will take bolus dose and then constant infusion, and that time urine samples will be taken with blood also. So midpoint of collection period for is used for inulin assay. Okay. If we start from morning 6 a.m. Then we will take midpoint, that is 12 p.m. around 12 p.m. for collection period, and GFR is taken as the mean for each period. Okay, mean. Creatinine clearance, it is time the urine collection for creatinine measurement is usually 24 hours. Blood sample taken within the period of that collection also. What is the problems in creatinine clearance? So it is the practical problems of accurate urine collection and volume measurement. First, that is important. Practically accurate urine collection or volume measurement is not so easy. Second is the tubular secretion. We will already discuss creatinine are some part of creatinine are tubularly secreted in PCT. So creatinine can be secreted mild in some amount. So this is not the ideal substance. Okay. And canned meats contain large amounts of creatinine, that is exogenous creatinine, can give false high GFR. If we take canned milk or other meat products, so the GFR may be falsely high. And bacteria produces creatinase. Creatinase is an enzyme that causes lysis of creatinine. So that bacteria causes lysis of creatinine, which also degrades creatinine levels, that giving false low values. So this is not the ideal substance. Use of formula to predict clearance. So this is the Cockcroft and Gault formula is very important. Cockcroft and Gault formula. In Cockcroft and Gault formula, creatinine clearance is measured by K. K is 1.224 for males, and that is constant. K is constant. That is 1.224 for males and 1.04 for females. Okay, and K into 140 minus A's into weight in kg upon serum creatinine, that is micromole per liter. Okay? That is a Cockcroft-Gault formula. Okay, and they can be modified to use surface area also. Other method is the MD-RD equation for predicting GFR. You should know only the name. That is a modification of diet in renal disease study group. MD-RD. Full form of MD-RD is modification of diet in renal disease study group, and that group also give a equation for predicting GFR. But this is very complex, and this is not so important for you guys. And the problems. Problems for what is the problems for using plasma creatinine on formula? Formula only apply in a steady state condition, steady state, not dynamic state, steady state condition, and not good for acute renal failure. Okay, and the plasma stable renal function for 4 days. When creatinine is rising, 24-hour urine collection for creatinine clearance, and the various formulas used to calculate creatinine clearance from serum creatinine are inaccurate and should not be used in estimating GFR. And because the rise in serum creatinine concentration is a delayed function of GFR declination. Okay, and plasma creatinine can increase following protein loads. After protein loads, plasma creatinine can be increased. Strenuous exercise may cause increase in creatinine by 14%. Muscle mass more difficult to predict in edematous patients and late pregnancy, and patients with muscle wasting also. And now the test of tubular function. Tubular function, first is the proximal tubular function, PCT function. PCT function measured by phosphate reabsorption, amino acid urea, glycosidia, and fractional bicarbonate excretion. Distal tubular function measured by acidification, that is ammonium chloride load, concentration, that is water deprivation with DDPAB. Maximum concentrating ability is the urine osmolality after withholding fluids, and maximum diluting ability is the urine osmolality after water overload. Now test for electrolyte, test for blood gas analysis, ABG and serum electrolyte, bicarbonate level. Bicarbonate level is important. Acidosis is ordinarily moderate with a plasma bicarbonate content of 15 to 20 millimole per liter. Serum potassium level, serum sodium level. Normal potassium level is 7 to 8 or up to 9. And normal serum level is 125 to 135. And if hyponatremia is usually moderate, and that is less than 125. And serum calcium levels, hypocalcemia is common and may be profound in patients with myoglobinuria acute renal failure, apparently due to combined effect of calcium deposition in necrotic muscle or reduced calcitriol production and resistance of bone to PTH, that is parathormone. Now, difference between acute renal failure and chronic renal failure. 1 upon creatinine ratio is variable depending upon the cause in ARF, and in CRF there is less than 20:1. calcium often normal or maybe low. Acute renal failure is acute condition and maybe reversible. So calcium is often normal or maybe low. CRF there is usually low. Phosphate in both condition is high. Hematocrit in ARF is normal, means hematocrit is normal, but in CRF there is low hematocrit. PTS or parathyroid hormone normal in ARF, high in CRF. Alkaline phosphatase normal in ARF and high in CRF. Urine output you see in ARF there is a usually decrease, but in CRF may be normal or maybe decrease, but usually normal in early condition of CRF. Okay, and urine sediment often positive for cells or cast, and in CRF there is broad or waxy cast present. Supportive lab test for specific type of renal failure. To further differentiate renal cause, findings or blood test diagnosed to consider elevated uric acid level. Elevated uric acid level suggestive of malignancy or tumor lysis syndrome leading to uric acid crystals. Elevated creatinine kinase or myoglobin levels in rhabdomyolysis. Elevated prostate PSA, prostatic specific antigen in prostate cancer. Abnormal serum protein electrophoresis in multiple myeloma, and low complement levels in SLE, post-infectious glomerulonephritis, and subacute bacterial endocarditis. So these are the supportive tests for a specific test, supportive lab test for specific types of renal failure that caused ARF or CRF. So students, these now we will finish the kidney function test and disease of kidney. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, madam.
Dr. Shauk Nazish is not joined us due to
Dr. S.K. Sai, I want to ask Dr. Shah, what is the effect of alcohol on diabetes patient or kidney patient?
Effect of alcohol.
Yes.
Yeah, that is not directly any effect of alcohol on diabetic patient in kidney, but in diabetes there is various changes occur in kidney. So that causes glomerulosclerosis and glomerulopathy also, and that causes loss of filtration and effacement of food process also. But direct effect of alcohol is not any significant and if in kidney and in diabetic patient, especially in diabetic patient, there is no any direct effect of alcohol for kidney or other kidney functions. Okay, but diabetes itself causes glomerulosclerosis and glomerulopathy. If a patient is if a patient has blood glucose is not maintained, so the for kidney is very important organ to damage by diabetes or uncontrolled sugar levels. Okay, that causes direct damage to the kidney, but alcohol based any in diabetic patient, alcohol based injury is not any significant in diabetic patient. Okay.
And how COVID-19 is related to diabetic patient? How COVID-19
COVID-19.
to
Yeah, COVID-19 in diabetes there is very much problematic in situation. Like in diabetes, immunity is decreased. Okay, T cell level, B cell level. So any infection, the chances of any infection is more in diabetes, and that causes prone for COVID also. If a patient is diabetic, especially uncontrolled diabetic, so the condition of that patient is immunity level of that patient is low. So and COVID is mainly immune. COVID cells causes loss of immunity also, and if patient is that level of low level of immunity, so other diseases like sepsis or other organ failure may occur. So you see the importance of immunity in this all COVID and diabetes relations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
और कोई पूछना चाहेंगे डॉक्टर साहब से पूछ सकते So, thank you, sir. Now I
Okay,
request
thank you.
our coordinator of BLT department, Dr. Shravan Kumar Sarkar, sir, to give notice. Over to you, sir. Dr. Sir.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hello,
Shravan,
Aditi
sir,
madam.
please.
जी
Yes,
जी.
sir. Please.
Thank you, Aditi madam, giving me chance for vote of thanks. A warm and graceful afternoon to our most valued Honorable Dr. Santosh, sir, MBBS MD
Thank you.
Pathology, Principal ma'am, the Management Committee of BMLT, worthy faculty members, and every student gather online. It's my privilege to propose a vote of thanks, a speech and acknowledgement the contribution of those who worked really hard to make this webinar on kidney disease and function test successful. On behalf of KB Men's College, I extend a really healthy vote of thanks to Dr. Santosh Kumar, who spared time from his busiest schedule under this COVID-19 pandemic to grace the occasion. Today we had an opportunity to hear your thought, and this will surely help as us understand the concept of cause of kidney disease, the test done and their remedies. A special mention to our respected principal madam for supporting us throughout to do our best. She is the pillar of our college. I also thanks our loving teachers for their efforts. This webinar would not have been possible without our brilliant host of the day, Dr. Aditi Swaha, and the person behind the technical and computer, Dr. Salini Shekhar. So I also thanks Dr. Kushwaha and Salini Madam. Again, a big thanks to each one of you who made this webinar memorable for all of us. On behalf of the college, let me thank all the students also who took part time to time, participate, and listen patiently. Thank you, everyone. Take care and follow the COVID guidelines. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all for your participation. Have a nice day. Thank you.
Thank you, madam.